Morning, how are we doing? Happy Sunday. Hope that everyone is well. Thank you for those that are tuning into the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast. Thank you for those that are tuning in on replay. Just drop a hashtag replay. Let me come in and say hello and appreciate you for taking your time out here with me and the rest of the Always Better Than Yesterday community. I'm just going to send a couple of invites and then I shall make an introduction. So, coming at you from a slightly earlier time. That is because my guest is coming all the way from the other side of the world, which is awesome. Really looking forward to having a great conversation today. But before I do, let me just, if this is the first time you've ever joined an Always Better Than Yesterday interview session, let me just give you a very, very quick explanation of what it is, why do I do them. So they are simply a series of conversations, and I've had, this is the 36th. This will be the 36th interview session, and I've been very fortunate to speak with some very successful and inspiring people over the last 9 months, and today is going to be no different to that. I am curious. I love to learn about what drives people, what motivates people, what helps people be successful, and particularly the way that people think. I believe that the way that people think informs the way that people act, which will then inform the results that people get. So that's why mindset's such a fascinating subject for me. And I was having loads of these little conversations with people that I was meeting and connecting with. And I thought, rather than keep all that knowledge and information to myself, I thought I'd wanted to just share it with you through the platform of social media. Always wanted to keep social media a place of usefulness, that it adds value to our lives, not takes it away. So combining all those things, I thought, why not bring those into an interview series? So here we are, episode 36, and today my guest is a chap called Riki Cribb, and I connected with Riki through Bill. Actually, Bill's watching. Bill recommended a Instagram channel, and he saw this mindset stuff linked to rugby, and he was like, you should check it out. And I was watching some of his content, and I was like, yeah, this is my guy. This is exactly the sort of thing that I'm into. So I thought, I have to reach out, have a conversation. So we're coming at it from a slightly earlier time, 8 a.m. here in the UK. And let's bring our guest on. Thanks to everyone joining. If you're catching up on replay, just stick us a hashtag replay down. Let's join the conversation with you and say thanks. Hello, brother.
How's it going, Ryan? How you doing, mate?
Very well. How are you?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, man.
So what time is it where you are, and where are you in the world?
So I'm in South Korea, Busan specifically, and it is 5 p.m.
Oh, nice. Not too late.
Yeah.
Not too late.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's quite a good time, and I'm sure 8 a.m. is not too bad as well.
Yeah, I've got a few little bags, but hey, I've earned those. So I say that every week. So
fair enough, mate. Awesome.
So do me the honor and the privilege of introducing your good self and just telling them a little bit about your story.
Yeah, cool, man. Firstly, I appreciate the comment that you made about my content. That sort of feedback is something that really keeps me positive and gives me energy. So I really appreciate that.
No worries.
And I'm sure you feel the same way about that feedback that I'm sure you get. So I'm from New Zealand. I'm actually an international teacher as well, where I teach PE. And I've been interested in the mind right back when I was at university. So I studied sport and exercise psychology. So I studied physical education. And within that, sport and exercise psychology was something that just really grabbed me. And as well as that, I also went into papers with cognitive and social psychology. And I just found it fascinating, man. And I just straight away was interested in how the mind works, how people work, how the brain works socially, why we do what we do, why things impact us the way they do. And naturally from there, I've worked with athletes in a strength and conditioning role and mental skills coach mindset role. And through my role as a teacher, I've actually gotten to apply that. I was at a sport academy in New Zealand and working with young athletes who were looking to go professional. So the professional model was sort of frameworked around them. And I was able to be within that and work on some mindset and strength and conditioning stuff. So was able to pull that together. And then in my teaching career, it was about 5 years now. I was in Saudi Arabia as well as New Zealand and Korea, so it's been a bit of a journey. One of my other passions is travel, and I love that with my young family. One of the big things, looking at your stuff, and where I see a lot of similarity with what I do, specifically within my teaching, is we look a lot at growth mindset and the research around Carol Dweck and the research around having a growth mindset and what that means. And when I read your title, Always Better Than Yesterday, it kind of, to me, it's like it's vibrating at the same frequency, man, as having a growth mindset. So where I am now, so I built probably 2 years ago, I really wanted to build my own platform to work with athletes from all over the world, not just in New Zealand. So I started to build my page on Instagram. And I actually have a travel page that we have. So I learned a lot what I do on Instagram through our travel page that we have as a family. And yeah, I've just been able to connect with some amazing athletes, man, that are professional, that are young, up and coming. And like I'm getting emails every day, feedback, sending out my ebooks and mental skills guides. And it's just something I love and enjoy doing. So at this stage, it's a nice balance to have with my teaching here in Korea. We get to travel, but it's sort of, my heart's pulling me towards moving into maybe transitioning into being a mindset coach full time within the rugby context, first of all. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, man.
Nice, love that story. And I guess from being able to teach others, do you have to learn it yourself? I mean, what sort of things around your own mindset have you had to learn that have really helped you?
I say 100%, mate. And that's, like, I think what you just said has a whole lot of wisdom in it, and it's kind of like through my own journey, I feel like I've gone through it all. Like a lot of young people, you grow up in a society that is very fixed mindset, and there's norms that are perpetrated, or norms that occur that are manifesting in fixed mindset, and that's probably still commonly where we are as a society globally. And I'm no different to having been impacted by that with my own thoughts and emotions growing up. So man, my journey's gone from there being, I don't know, like a lot of young guys, completely naive about the world, and through my own journey, through my own sort of wins and losses, man, like we all do, being human beings. And it's taken all it, and like I know you mentioned your stuff, you take the path's never straight, man. You know, the path sort of how it's going to be, and you can't predict it. And that's, I think I'm no different to anybody else, and I'm still on that journey myself, man. But I think a couple of the big things that have opened my mind up is sometimes when you experience loss, you can go deeply within and really try and look at the meaning of things. So not only loss, but pain. Pain can be a big teacher. Failings can be a really big teacher. So I think for me, like any other person, those have been really good opportunities to learn. And I think adopting a growth mindset is almost almost what's going to unlock that. So what I mean by that is, if you're sort of insular and closed off to things, then you're not gonna vibrate at the frequency which you need to be able to attract and adapt and learn from things in your life. And that's where probably the essence of my work comes back to. And much like yourself, man, it's just about trying to give to people, have empathy, because I've been in those positions, and then really try and teach people and have them learn about their mindset and how they can develop it in a positive way. And naturally, for me, having a background in rugby, it's been within that context. I love the Buddhist stuff here, to be honest, mate. The temples, some of the temples here are brilliant, and you know, you look at Buddhism and the attraction and the meaning and nature and things you can learn from nature. That's probably been a big learning for me. Not particularly Buddhism, but nature, and when you try and get in touch a bit with that.
Talk about that. You know, what benefits does that have from a mindset point of view? How does that Buddhism or translate to on a rugby pitch? So where's the connection? How does that work?
So for me, like taking it back to who I am is my Māori culture, which is kind of very spiritual and in tune with nature. So there's a lot of, in my sense, a lot of similarities with Buddhism. So in a way, Matt, I've kind of grown up with that culturally, and then from that's just some context. And in my view on it, like the mind it's more than what you think, it's your being. So and like Buddhism or whatever it is, being in touch with nature or the Māori culture, it's all about being your whole self, the energy you're vibrating at, what you're giving out. And you know, when you're in sport or you're on a rugby field, you can feel the momentum, because it's an energy, man. It's much more than just, like when we say mind, we can be fooled a little bit into it's about thinking, when really, for me, it's about being, man. It's about what you deeply believe inside, the vibe you're giving off, the state that you're in, and then that really, to me, you sort of do a full flip back to rugby, as in how do you be who you want to be? How do you be your vision? How do you be one with the process? How do you be in the moment? And that's why when I use language, I try and be very specific about it. And being comes up a lot for me, because, like I'm sure you know, man, thinking it's a limited tool, and it was designed as a limited tool in the evolutionary perspective. So it's almost like we've got to sort of evolve to move past that and look at being in the moment, and look at being in tune with our feelings and thinking, and then almost sort of revolutionize who we are in a way. And that's kind of, I know it gets a bit deep, mate.
No, it's cool, yeah.
That's kind of where I go towards with my tools and all of my advice that I give out, and I get some great feedback from it, which like the tools might look on surface like they're simple, but everything that I try and do and teach is sort of has that behind it. So that's a great question.
It's I often use the phrase, it might be simple, but it's not easy, because if it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
I think it's one of the hardest things you can do, mate. I think I was watching, I don't know if you heard of Impact Theory with Tom Bilyeu. So I watch a bit of his stuff, because he gets some great guests on, and he's got some great content there. And someone in there was saying that he was like sort of very successful and wealthy, and he was saying that a lot of his clients or people that he deals with, they're still unhappy, man, and they're not happy within themselves. So like it's that external internal thing, and they're still searching for something, but they have everything, right? And it's kind of like that paradox of life, I think, in a way. Like, and I bring back to what I say in my content, is that your internal is your external, and like it's just invisible. You can't see it, man, but you're gonna whatever you're gonna create is gonna be based on what you are internally. So they're the same, and you're one being. So for me, it's pretty straightforward, because it's that whole, when you get into it deeply and look at the nature of thought, there's the observer, and the observed is kind of an illusion. So we go back to who we are as human beings, and we're a very intelligent being, not an observer and an observed.
I like that. So just take you back a little bit. You talked about like failure, loss, and pain. Is there a particular lesson that you've had to learn through those experiences?
I think just going within, man, and just almost going, when you turn your energy within you, it's your subconscious that you can look into, and it's often not pretty for anyone, but it's just learning, man. It's learning about who you are, and learning about maybe events that have occurred in your life that you've naturally blocked away as a human being for defense mechanism. There's little places deep down within us that we, maybe when we were a child, we had to lock away because we couldn't deal with them. back at that time, and it's just about when you turn your energy in, you can go on an inward journey, man, and it's not pleasant, but you can't grow any more than turning within and just sort of almost facing your own fears in a way psychologically. That's probably also from a psychology context is where even if you look at Freudian psychology, that's sort of within that context.
Yeah, I listen a lot to when rugby players are interviewed. I try and pick up on a lot of their, leadership, mindset, and culture. Those are my kind of three things. And our local team, I don't know if you follow much of the English Premiership, but our local team is Bath, and the fly half, Freddie Burns, unfortunately, a few months back, dropped the ball over the line, didn't get it down, and obviously it's one of those embarrassing moments. It's on TV and everyone sees it. And he was interviewed on TV, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and they asked him about that experience. And and this is the kind of testament to, I think, of people like that, the real strongest of mindsets, because he said it made him a better player.
Wow.
He said in that moment, it's made him a better player. He's come through it. He's better for it. And nobody died at the end of the day. And I just think, I think that is, and I was going to ask you, do you think mindset in rugby is really important? And I think that kind of example is testament to it, how powerful mindset training can be in sport.
Oh, mate, to me, it's everything, man. And I think what we don't see is like a lot of the players that come through have strong mindsets through just, I wouldn't say luck, but through their upbringing. Like I had an interview with a guy that I know who plays professionally in France last night, and he talked a lot about his family environment, seeing his dad's work ethic, having a big why. He's through the God or universe or whatever it is, and just everything he was saying, he was, without him knowing, he was, do you know what I mean, nurtured in that way.
Yeah.
And
it becomes habit.
It gave him so much strength, man, to move as an 18-year-old to Australia, a new country, and then just go through the professional ranks, which is not easy by any means. And I guess myself, and I'm sure what you're doing as well, is that my thing is, so it's about how can we teach and grow that for people that don't quite have it and haven't quite had that nurturing or that upbringing, that because it's 100%, and I'm sure you agree, possible, and the opportunities are unlimited when you have that mindset. And bringing it back to the Bath player, like straight away for me, that just the light bulb in my head goes off, that he has a huge growth mindset.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, because this is my kind of local rugby team, Trowbridge, and I coach the little 6 and 7-year-olds. And he came down and did a guest visit last month, and I was just having a little bit of chat with him about it. And he did say, actually, it's his family environment. It's just what we do. Like we pick ourselves up, we move on. And I guess there's probably a case study there, because his brother's also a professional rugby player. He used to play for Gloucester, now plays over in Ireland. So they're clearly made of strong stuff, the Burns.
Oh man, for sure. And they're the same as the my mate who I interviewed last night. His brother Sikimon, who plays for he played for Melbourne Storm, Kiwis. He's in the UK. I'm not sure. It might be Hull. I'm not sure exactly the team he plays for. His other brother's a big musician in New Zealand. So, it ain't chance in a lot of ways, man. And it's just kind of quality parenting in a lot of ways as well. That work ethic took him right through what would probably not be possible for most people at 18.
Yeah.
And it's not, because most don't go to that level. It's there for the top sort of 0.1%. And the All Blacks, I refer to the All Blacks a lot, mostly because that's what I consume in the media, and I come across their interviews and quotes, and they're absolutely huge on growth mindset. And Steve Hansen, one of his things he says all the time is, we learn our biggest lessons from our biggest failings. And we've mentioned that a little bit tonight, and that's just a huge, it's a huge theme that they have. And I'm sure anyone that's successful, look, man, if you're going to get there in rugby, if you can't take failing, like having a bad bad conditioning session or dropping the ball, or if you can't take failing and bigger and bigger fails, then it ain't gonna happen, man. You need that. You need to have that deeper purpose. Like you said, you're in front of whatever 50, 60,000 people, man. You're all over the media.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you help, as part of your program, help people, rugby players, connect with their deeper purpose?
100%, mate. Yep. So with the guys I work with, that's where we go, and that's like you need a bit of trust for that. You need a bit of a relationship, and like I kind of go into what we're talking about. Really, I go into the importance of sort of who they are, their being, what is their why, and then from there you can start to look at different skills, techniques, tools, and pretty much all the professional players, they have them. They have these tools in their pocket. So
yeah,
pretty much all the ones I've talked to, they have some sort of affirmation. Like a couple of ones recently I've come across: be the beast, stay within the lines. So like go tunnel vision, get up off the deck, and like these guys go into another mode, man, where you know what I mean. They're sort of like
trigger words,
when they
focus.
You see it all the time, mate. That players say when they're a different person when they're on the field, and I think literally they're like within their mindset they go into a different space, and with the physicality there is in rugby and the amount of focus and attention required, self-belief, confidence, you kind of have to, in a way, if you're going to play World Cup finals, man, in front of 100,000 people and take the winning kick, without a strong mind, man, it just ain't going to happen.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what growth mindset then looks like in one of your programs. What sort of things would you be helping players through?
So it's I'll break it down into, firstly, to see where they're at. So within a conversation, I can start to get an idea where they're at. And the great thing is that usually if they're contacting me, or if they're wanting an ebook, then they already have that.
Yeah.
Like they almost, you know what I mean? They're almost not going to ask if they like fixed mindset. They don't want to know, man. They don't think someone can help them. Obviously, that's by definition. They're quite insular, so I'm quite blessed that the people that do reach out, they have a growth mind. They have enough of a growth mindset to
be nurtured,
to want to start, to be nurtured, man. 100%, just like anything. And so I'll break that down into things like, it kind of comes from their purpose, their why, and I say in my post that your vision, your big picture, it has to burn bright enough that your small wins and losses, they're not significant. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have a good day at the gym, the next day you have a bad day. But at the end of the day, when you're playing for your family, you're playing because you love it, man, it burns it up. And that's real for these guys that are in there. So when that happens, man, the growth mindset naturally is going to flow on from that. So a lot of these guys that have that, it's going to flow on. So they're open-minded, they're willing to learn, they're giving to others, they're willing to give back and support others. They learn from their failings, and depending on where they are as a player, like the professional guys, they're pretty much already there, man. They can learn from their failings. Like you said, to go after a game, drop the ball in front of everyone and say you've learned from it, that's just huge. That's huge, man. That's like extremely strong mindset, and from what I believe, a very deep why. So seeing effort, praising effort instead of outcomes. So it's all about the effort and effort they're putting in, and thinking about, you can align that with your process goals. What's the process? And then really focusing on the task and process, things that you can control. Those are all the little things that I'll sort of either talk with them about or give them skills and techniques around. So again, an affirmation could be a good one, just to remind them of their vision and having a growth mindset. Like whether that's get back up straight away. If you're using that as a mantra in the game, then the guy Felipe I spoke with last night just said he's had that so consistently for so long, it's just ingrained in him, and that's where it needs to be if it's going to stand up under the biggest pressures. You know, when there's a 20,000 crowd and the heat's on, it's got to be within you, man. And then you just get back up when you're tackled. He says it to himself, get back up. He doesn't want the other guy to see that he's hurt, you know. So that's
powerful.
Yeah.
I like that. I've been fortunate enough to be supporting my local rugby team with a bit of leadership coaching, creating a sense of culture. And I'd love to get into a little bit more of the play, the mental skills and the mindset. What advice would you have to me? Where would I start?
What age is it?
Seniors.
Seniors? Look, I always start by getting the feedback from the team. It's pretty like starting wherever, trying to get a gauge on where they are through a conversation or through a survey. And that way, doing kind of a needs analysis or breaking down what you're looking for, what they might be looking for, and getting some feedback, you can get an idea of where to start naturally. So, for example, if I'm talking with a player and he's talking about being anxious before a game, and that's the one screaming out to me, straight away, man, I go to probably the biggest tools you can use, and that's one's music for these guys. Music and movement can just really bring you into the moment, and that's what's so popular with athletes. Deep breathing and centering. Like, these are powerful techniques that, as a technique, are probably going to be the most beneficial, the quickest, and also inner body awareness. So when you place your awareness within your inner body, your inner energy field, then you're in the moment straight away. And like all three things together, they stop that thought feeling story, you know, like whatever that is. And often it's tailored towards a negative for most people. And well, for whatever reason, you find a way to overcome that. So they're the three biggest things that I'd probably go into, but it does sort of depend on the needs analysis of it. It could be that if you're asking a few things like, how's the preparation? How do you feel on game day? How do you feel within a game? Do you get anxious? How's your arousal levels? Do you get too hyped up at times? And once you get that information back, it might be a routine. It might be, great, man, let's look at this. We really need to structure some routines like before a game. And what I like to do there is match the physical routine with a mental skill. So, and you can, every player is different, but when you individualize it, it might be an hour before kickoff. So you put your boots on. Do you tune in here? Do you do a bit of imagery? You take some time to get your breathing and just focus, or stretching's a great time to really be in the moment, because your energy is within your body and you're within your movement. So that could be a time to do a bit of imagery, deep breathing, and then you count down towards the game. And like the guy I spoke with last night, he was very different, and every player is very different. So he said he would get his game week 100% right. So his training, conditioning, recovery, put all his energy into it. And he had the confidence to know that if he did that well, that Saturday would take care of itself. And on Saturday, he just had his simple routines, and he would just have fun, smile, joke, and just be in the moment, be happy. And it just transferred to the field. So it's that fine balance, man, between, like, you know what I mean, thinking and being. Like if you're thinking and you're not being it, then you're dissipating energy. You know, you're sort of pretending to yourself. So it's getting that fine balance. So I would say to start off with just getting feedback, have a discussion, and then find out what's the most important thing that could have the biggest impact, and just bring something out. I always give things simple to start with. Like, clutter is the worst thing that can happen. So I'll just give one technique, man, and just say, use it at your own pace. Take your time, use it in trainings. Start in trainings before a game. Maybe use imagery at home when you're stretching. And then come to me when you're ready to maybe move on to something else, or when maybe it doesn't work. It's one of those things, like you say, mate, that the road is, you know, that whole saying, the road is never going to be direct and straightforward. So you follow that path, and you have trust in it, man. You have trust and faith, and that's a huge part of anyone's mindset. If you have whatever's within you, to just have trust and belief in yourself and those around you.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because like there's very much around a kind of, you know, masculine culture of this not wanting to seek help, not wanting to, you know, or to share vulnerabilities and to share weaknesses. And, you know, actually I've seen you obviously have a lot of trust with your audience, because I've seen some of the questions that people have put to you with your Instagram, and you know, some quite vulnerable, you know, I feel anxious on a day or something like that. And I guess you've been able to help a lot of people doing what you do, and that must somewhere connect to your deeper purpose and keep you going. But what have been some of the real highlights and successes that you've seen as a result of your help?
Yeah, that's true, mate. 100%. So for me, it's just those questions are like you said. I don't think about it too much till right now, actually. But the fact that someone can be that trustworthy is great. I never try and share publicly people's names, so
of course,
they do have that private element which they can have. But for anyone to open themselves up like that, like you said, mate, it's not easy, and certainly they don't know me personally. Well, in a way we connect, so it's you put it in a nice way. Actually, it's nice to know that I connect enough for them to go to that level. But I get some messages like the content you put up. I think a message today, the content you put up about a month ago about not overthinking and having too much clutter. I took it on and I stopped worrying about my teammates, and I played my best game I've played in a long time. So like that sort of stuff, mate, you can't, that's just priceless, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just feedback like that, or just feedback around, like, people say, oh, you're doing so great, keep it up, keep up the great work, you're helping us out. Guys will message who are with rugby organizations and say, I love your stuff, I'm gonna take it to my college team that I coach, and I give out my guides for free, my free ebooks and guides, and just to know, like, I'm sending out hundreds of those, like they're tallying up. So just to know that they're out there, people are looking at them and reading them, and it's a funny thing because I've had it there for a while, but I didn't really have the time to put into Instagram like I have sort of recently. I've really thought, oh man, I better get a bit more consistent and put more time in. And now that I put more time in, and people that have been following the page for a while, like they connect a little bit more, then they want to email for a free ebook of mental skills. It's like they kind of, you know what I mean? They kind of need to have that connection. So yeah, that feedback's priceless, man. People that say that they feel confident now after my book and messages, and they're gonna try their best to make the next team, or they're coming back from an injury and after 2 years they haven't played and they want to use my stuff to get back in the game. Like, it's cool, man. And like you said, my biggest purpose is it's more like you, to be honest, mate. Like, it's just about giving back to people and trying to do my little bit to make the world a bit of a better place, man. Because having a kid, that kind of does it to you, you know. You sort of think, man, what world are they growing up in? And you think, you kind of try and do what you can to try and you know, give back, so that hopefully you never know, but hopefully it's a bit more better when they're getting older and stuff.
Yes, that is why you and I are aligned. So let's talk about your book then. How can our watchers, listeners, go and find that? How can they get a copy of your mental skills ebook?
Yeah, so that's my ebook. That's there's a player guide in there that you can use as well. The easiest way is to shoot to my Instagram page, Rugby Mindset, and there's just a link in my bio. Chuck your email in, and then I can just straight away tap reply and attach it, and then I'll flick it straight back. So you could go straight to my website, RugbyMindset.com, and do it that way. But mostly people, I think, through Instagram.
Here we go, back for part 2. Sorry about that. Facebook obviously could not handle the extreme value that Riki was bringing. So let me just set this back up and get Riki back on. Here we go. Let's this great conversation.
Hey, mate, not sure what happened there.
No, I think sometimes Facebook has this thing where it's just so awesome that they can't cope. So it's not the first time that it's happened, unfortunately, but Facebook is sent to test, and I've kind of got accustomed to it now. Like game day, like I'm absolutely fine with. We just keep calm. We just keep calm, and we keep showing up.
I was wondering what happened there, mate. I was talking to a frozen screen for a bit, but it's all right.
Sweet. So I think we were just talking about where the watchers, listeners, viewers can find some more of your content. How can they connect with you? How can they find some more of your inspirational stuff?
Yeah, so that's the easiest way. It's Instagram. I try and jump on there. I try and post every day. I'm on stories. That's where I try and find. Well, I don't even find. I come across quotes from professional athletes and put them out, and then try and really get the meaning behind it about the being, because like I think there's a huge need for it, man. Too many people look at the thinking part and they don't look at the underlayer, which is 95%. It's your whole conscious and subconscious. So that energy field. I also do interviews on there. I've only just started, mate. Inspired by yourself, actually, man.
Cool.
And so thanks for the tips about that. So I
No
chucked them on. Cheers. I chucked them on Instagram Live, and this is with professional rugby players who really look at the tools they use.
Amazing.
I chucked them up on Facebook, YouTube, and then try and get them out on podcast level through Anchor, iTunes, Google. So easier than I thought, actually.
It's the thing that I learned is just get started. You know, I think years gone by, I would have had that kind of perfectionist type mentality where I would have wanted to do it properly. I'd want to have a proper podcast with a proper microphone, and I've just got to that position where you kind of make the best with what you've got right now, and you know, and it's mate, I'm really glad that I've inspired you to do that, because I think the more the world can hear from the stuff that you're doing and the people that you're bringing with you, that it's definitely a message that needs spreading. So good on you, mate.
Man, I feel the same way about your stuff, man. I love it, seeing your stuff, interviews, posts.
Amazing. So last question for me then really is that my practice is about, or my ethos is all about creating a world that's always better than yesterday. And you touched on it a little bit earlier, but I'm just curious to know, what does the phrase always better than yesterday mean to Riki Cribb?
Yeah, so like I said, mate, it's I think from a tactical, strategic point of view, it's growth mindset. So it's getting that in education. It's the school I'm at, they actually started from kindergarten, man. They start doing that stuff. They start learning about it. So, and it's about creating a culture around that. But to me, it just means making a better world, man, because if everyone's always better than yesterday, then the world's going to be a better place to live than it was or is. So I see that on a macro level, and like too often we look at the big thing, a new world, change the world. It's too hard, it's impossible. But like every person, man, if they look at themselves, a bit like Michael Jackson used to sing, "Man in the Mirror," like 7 billion people doing that, man. That's what the world is. So like it's a great phrase to have, mate, and it's 100% real, and it's it's probably my reasons too. So it's great to see some affinity with yourself, man.
Yeah, love that, mate. So Bill has just commented, so glad that we've connected, like-minded, and he's really inspired by you. Bill's the guy that suggested I follow you. So he was already consuming some of your content, and he was like, man, you got to check him out. So I'm really, really glad he did that.
Man, and so it works, word of mouth. It's nice to know that, thanks a lot, Bill, that that it can work like that and people can refer, and that's just, hopefully that's how things work, man, when you're giving out that sort of vibe.
Yeah, love that. Do me the honour then of leaving our watchers and listeners with a final thought from Riki.
My final thought, man, it's got to come back to what you just said. How can, and it's using your phrase because they're probably familiar with it. Like, what are you doing right now that's always better? What are you doing moment to moment that's always better? Like, and I don't know, you can't really be any different than that, man. We only have the moment we're in, and that's it. So I don't know what else to put onto that. Like,
mic drop.
Because I think it's human nature to, we get a bit protective or defensive, and we try and always find holes. It can't be that simple, like, but it is, like, you know what I mean? If only we're in a simple world, not a super fast-paced, overcomplicated world, which it is, I guess, unfortunately. But on a positive note, man, there's a lot of people out there. I come across them on the internet every day, like yourself, who are just doing what they can and enjoying, having fun, living in the moment, and trying to be better than they were yesterday, man, for sure.
Love that. Guys, girls, if you've been watching, if you've been listening, if it's added any value, please do share the original stream first, because that's where all the main value and the content from Riki is going to be. I will merge these two videos together. They'll go up on YouTube. They'll go up on the podcast
Awesome.
thing. So I'll share that. Be sure to share that. And if this has added any value, guys, please just push our faces. Either follow, share, go give Riki and his content some follow. If you are a rugby player, even if you are a sports person, I'm sure this mental skills will add you some value. Because actually we're all human beings. That's the thing that connects us all, isn't it? We've all got one of these in here.
100%.
And what works for rugby, I'm pretty sure will work in business, life, leadership, because if you can get the best out of yourself, then you can get the best out of others.
100%, brother. 100%.
Amazing. Thank you for taking the time to join me, my friend. I look forward to connecting again soon. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of your interviews. Now, maybe reach out to Freddie Burns. I'll when I post this, I'll tag him in it, say that we've had a bit of a chat about him, and
that'll be wicked.
And see if he'll join you, mate.
I'll check it out, man. Always looking for rugby players. If there's any out there, then we're looking for anyone who wants to jump on and talk about those mental skills they do, and they can help others.
Epic. Thank you, mate. Have a great
Ryan,
week.
appreciate it, brother. Nice to see you, mate.
Take care, bro.
Thanks a lot.